Virginia here with Jenny Lee Gems. I just wanted to show you, I am going to be adding these little flowers to a wrapped row that's black. So I think that the colors will really stand out next to this black thread. So I'm trying to devise a way to evenly distribute them on the last row. And I've done it several other ways, but I want to show you a few of the ways that I work it. So I've started to wrap the last row in black. I happen to have this little tape here. It's a measuring tape, but it's a sticky tape. And I've used it up against the side to try to decide how many colors I want to use and how far apart I want to distribute them. So I can see by using this tape that about every fifth one is an inch. And I think I'm going to use that as my guide. So if you have, this will be a wrapped row, and I can just look down below and say every fifth one is going to end up about an inch. I don't care to be really exact. As long as it looks evenly distributed, I'm comfortable with it. You know, if you want to do every quarter of an inch, you could just do a flower at every stitch right here. But there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You can count stitches, you can measure it with tape, you know, you can just do it willy-nilly. There's graphs you could set it on and draw it out. But this is just how I figured I'm going to do it, because I want to mix a bunch of colors in here. I want to get a little bit of each color, maybe 2 or 3 of each color, to pop the center of the basket. I think these will look really cute, and it'll really add to the basket. So I've done a lot of stitching in here. I've used primarily the tie stitch and also the back stitch on the bottom row. But I just want to finish it off with a bold color, and it's going to be black so that these little beads really show up. So I'll show you how we do that, and I'll just get started and show you as we go along. Okay? So I've wrapped about an inch here. I've decided, after using my little measuring tape, that I would like to go about an inch with each flower and alternate the colors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I figured is about an inch. That works out with my basket. I want to start with a really bright flower at the top, and it'll show up really good against the black. So on every stitch, I've attached the wrapped black row. And then on the second stitch here, I'm going to attach the flower. So see, because I did the tie stitch on the bottom row, you have 2 stitches up here. So when I'm attaching the wrapped black row, I just went through the first stitch. It didn't need to go through both. And then that has left me an extra stitch to use to attach the flower bead. So let's just pull this up here and try not to tangle it. And I'll show you how it nestles up against the basket. These little clay beads have a flat bottom, so you can kind of position them where you want them. And this one's just going to go right up against the side like that. So now I could put it up on top and try to keep it there, but I think it'll keep sliding down anyway. And I really want it to show in the inside. So I think that'll work just fine. So I'll be getting a little bit further on, and I'll show you what it looks like. So make sure when you're picking out beads or using these little clay flowers to get a nice size that has a large hole so that your needle and thread can go through. This is 2-ply wax thread, and so it is a little bit thicker. So I'll work on down the road and show you how it looks when I get that far. Thanks for watching. So moving right along here, I'm just wrapping between each flower, and I continued to use my dyed needles. These are yellow. It was a bright yellow on the package, but then they came out kind of mustardy, but they're fine because they have, you know, a nice texture to them, and they're not breaking or anything like that. But I wanted to show you, well, as I'm still working on this here, but I wanted to show you how it's looking now with all the flowers. It's not quite done. I'm moving along. It just looks so cute with all these flowers. I'm just about done, but I wanted to show you when I get near the edge and I know I'm not going to be needing the longer needles, I stop using, especially with the colored, I stop using the longer needles and I cut the long ends off. So these were out about to here, and I cut them off about halfway down so that I could use these shorter needles to finish off the basket with. I'm planning on cutting it at a diagonal right here, so I don't need the long needles. I can just use these half portions. And that's just a little tip on how to save some of your needles. There's no use to keep having long needles coming clear out the edge when you're so close to the end. But I'm getting closer and closer, and it's looking really pretty. I love the colors of the flowers. I've just got about 3 more to do, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna finish it tonight. So just want to give you a few little tips and tricks on that. And of course, when you're wrapping a row, you don't need to keep using your colored needles if you don't want to. You can just use plain needles, and that saves a little bit. But I have quite a bit of these. I made a lot of these. They're kind of a mustardy yellow, but they're real supple. They're really easy to work with. So that's how far I've gotten so far. I'll just keep working on it and show you what happens next. Here's another little tip when attaching these little flowers. When they're drilled, some of them are straight through, some are diagonal. I'm trying to pick some that are drilled a bit diagonally and that the thicker part is on the bottom, so they lay better. So if you just put the shorter part to the top, it kind of fits down into the basket a little bit better. I'll show you what I mean. If you see, these are all kind of, they're laying pretty much straight, but just a tad up. So this one is a little bit diagonal on the bottom and drilled diagonal. I'm going to go ahead and attach it normally like I have been doing. I'll just put it straight through that second little stitch, and it just tends to lay a little bit upward. So it is flat inside, but because it's cut diagonally on the bottom, it's just a hair upward. That's just kind of a little tip. But I've just got 2 more beads to put there, flower beads. I'm really looking forward to finishing this basket because I want to start a holiday basket. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the Grinch or a Rudolph. Maybe a Rudolph because he's smaller. Or maybe a, let's see, here's another one. He's really cute too. I've got to drill these, but I want to make one holiday basket, so that's what I'll do next. Here's another little one that's just a piece of jewelry that I resined. But as soon as I get close, I'll show you the end when I put the last bead on. That's just another tip to kind of help you gauge, you know, how they're going to lay on the basket. They're not going to lay exactly the same all the way around, but they will show as it's hanging on a wall or See how pretty that frames her little face. Thanks for watching. I'm so excited. I'm so close to the end on this. So you see I've worked my way all the way around, added flowers. I went in a pattern. I maintained the same pattern. I'm ready to put the last flower bead on. I'll go ahead and just tack it down in through that second stitch. And it's really tight. Oh, my fingers. I use my little pinchers. Ah, okay, there we go. Pull it through. Flatten it out a little bit. I had to kind of dig through to make sure I got some that were drilled diagonally so that they'll stay a little bit upwards. So now, there it is. There's all the little flowers. It's hard to get it all on screen. I'll take a nice picture of it though. So now at the end, you see I've cut the tail down all the way down here. I'll just start going in right underneath. And I like to cover them all the way up, the needles. You can leave them plain or you can cover them, but I choose to cover them. So I'll just take little stitches, tighten it up right in underneath there. And I'll be pushing it right up underneath that flower because I want to cinch it up nice and tight. And I'm going to cover all my needles. So you just keep taking little stitches and I'll work its way right back up in. So it's hard to show you because it's pretty close up, but I'll just keep wrapping all the way down to here, tie it down, and then I'll probably put a little charm over here on the outside. I think that I've got a little skull or a butterfly that'll match. So I'll take pictures when it's completely done. I'll just have to do this off camera so I can make sure to get it real tight. But there's all the little flowers. You can see them, and it really highlights the top of her head. Looks good, I like it. Thanks for watching. Hope I gave you a few tips and tricks on this. Thanks.